What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another Grizz 901, your number one Memphis Grizzlies postgame show. And it's not even close. Tonight, we're coming off of a loss. It was ugly, 122-118. And honestly, that last shot just kind of made us feel a little bit better, but it wasn't. It was a 5-point game realistically with a few seconds left. But overall, the Grizzlies do lose again, the third time this season, to the Houston Rockets. And honestly, the Grizzlies controlled a lot of that game early into the game, and they let it go in the clutch territory. And so we're going to get into all of that with Nate, as we always do. But if you're just joining us for the first time, thank you. But if you're not, if you're an OG, if you're here all the time, go ahead and do us a favor as always and hit that like button. I would appreciate it. If you're watching over on Twitter, go ahead and share it, like, review, or like and share if you don't mind. But also come over and join us at YouTube, because the chat's already popping. Everybody's getting going. Everybody's going to get some stuff off of their chest. We do not judge here, but we like you to make sure you let us know exactly how you feel about this game. It's going to be a great game to break down completely, but Nate is here. We'll break down the entire game in the first half. We'll get into Grizz Trivia, everyone's favorite segment. And the last thing we'll do is do the look ahead as we look ahead to the Spurs on Wednesday. But that's it. Let's get going. You sound so defeated. You had that stupid snow globe again. All right. So off the top, Nate, what's your thoughts about the game?
It's 101 ways to lose a basketball game.
Did we find the 101st tonight?
Yeah, we did. It was a really good game all the way through, to be completely honest. I mean, it was really good back and forth. And then at the end, they just couldn't figure it out. It's like, hey, let's let them keep putting Zach Edey into a pick and roll from 45 feet away. Why wouldn't we let them keep doing that? They didn't make a single adjustment for the last 3 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons to get mad tonight. One is that there's 52 effing free throws in a 48-minute game. Tony Brothers' cataracts are acting up. Stole that one from Ryan. But his age is catching up with him. I mean, Jesus H. Christ. No one wants to go see 52 free throws in a basketball game. But, hey, the hell, why not? Except for Ja Morant, apparently, who only had 4 free throws the entire game. Meanwhile, Jalen Green gets 2 phantom dunk fouls called. I don't know what's going on with that. Ja Morant is absolutely blackballed by the league when it comes to the whistle. No doubt in my mind at this point. It's ridiculous. This is not to take away from the Rockets did. They've beat us twice, 3 times now, twice when fully healthy, out physical both times. But tonight I was like, listen, I don't know what you want to do. If they're calling 50, you get 52 free throws in a game. The Rockets get 10 more than you somehow, despite the fact you're both getting in the paint the same. Know what to do there. And then listen, not to be that guy, but you don't adjust for the last 3 minutes of the game. They keep beating you on the same damn play. Sorry, earmuffs, children. They keep beating you on the same damn play every single time. And they have 3 guys basically playing 40 minutes. Would have been 4 guys playing 40 minutes. And you don't have one within a minute of 40 minutes. I mean, in a game that comes down to the last 3 plays, I don't know what you want to say. Those 3 minutes matter, 5 minutes matter, 6 minutes matter. Play your dudes, man.
I agree. And all right, let's break it down a little bit. Just looking through this, my phone's blowing up. I don't know why. I guess somebody tagged me in something, but something happened on the old Twitter. But I'll get back to that, I guess, later on. I'm not sure. I don't know. My phone just keeps getting messages. But to your point, so Ja played 37 minutes, Bane 34, Wells 30, and Jaren 30. So you did have, 4 of your starters play 30 or more minutes. But then if you look at the Rockets, the other side, 41 for Thompson, 39 Brooks, 32 Sengun, 36 VanVleet, and then 40 for Green. All right, so my thoughts. One, Green was cooking. Green always cooks. I don't know. I don't know if anybody believes in betting or enjoys betting, but Jalen Green, my God, sorry. I just looked through all the chat. I just got down to the bottom. Y'all are popping off, and I appreciate it. if you enjoy betting, bet Jalen Green 3-pointers or points, whichever one you feel comfortable with, against the Grizzlies. 5 3-pointers tonight was plus 350. $10 makes 35. Use that number. $100 makes 350. Anyway, great game out of the Rockets. But it wasn't that great of a game, in all honesty. The difference that I think with the Rockets, before we get into breaking down the team in general, I just think that their style of play is really what hurts the Grizzlies. They make you go one-on-one. The Grizzlies want to pass the ball. They want to have assists. If you look at the assists tonight, just overall, my phone will work. The assists tonight, they had 28 to our 15. That's the biggest thing is, and I know Ryan in our chat was talking about how the Grizzlies went away from their normal offense. Well, no, the Rockets make you, and shout out to them because they make you actually make your changes, and they make you change to how they're going to play you. And so at that point, you kind of have to tip your cap to the Rockets.
Yeah, they make adjustments, and they make.
Did they make an adjustment?
Yeah. The last 3 minutes of the game was their adjustment. They said, "Hey, you're going to do this. We're going to do that." And then the Grizzlies didn't have a counter, which is crazy because Brevin Knight's yelling the counter for 3 straight minutes.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be a hater, but dude, they played their guys more than you played your guys, and at the end, I mean, truly, it was like 3 straight minutes of basketball. We're going to put you in this pick and roll. What are you going to do about it? And the answer was absolutely nothing. And you just kept getting roasted. There was no timeout to try and adjust for it. There was nothing, and, players make plays, but when the play results in like 4 straight dunks by Asar Thompson, I'm like,
yeah,
All
right. So let's go ahead and get it. Obviously, it is I guess the elephant in the room is the Taylor Jenkins stuff. So let's go ahead and break down. Let's break down the game just in general then. Okay. So your gripe, and this is what I see on Grizz Twitter, and I don't see a ton of Grizz Twitter. I've muted so many people at this point because I like my life, but no, I use my personal Twitter, which I'm at Daniel Greer, and Nate, Art was asking earlier, Nate's at Mem, as in Memphis, Mem Grizz Homer, because he's a loser. Mem Grizz Homer is his tag. If you want to follow him over there, probably more enjoyable than following me unless you like betting. But overall, nothing stuck out to me for the most part that I was looking, except for the fact that when they won the run, he was late to put Ja back in, which Ja was at the scoring table, just like he was in Minnesota. He was at the scoring table, and those last 2 possessions almost lost the game for him in Minnesota while he was waiting at the scoring table. Tonight, something similar kind of happened tonight, but he still went back in with the lead. So what's the gripe? And honestly, in chat, let me know. I'd love to hear, because I didn't see anything crazy.
That's the gripe, Daniel.
Okay.
That is the gripe. He's not in the game, and it's starting to slip away. But, it's the same thing. Jaren plays 30 minutes tonight. Oh, he got in foul trouble. Not really. He was stuck with 3 for a while, and then he got to 4. But he didn't get to 5 until they were fouling at the very end of the game. So why is he only playing 30 minutes? Now, if you want to get into guys like, okay, your last 2 are a little bit tougher. Okay, if you're looking at it, you're like, okay, your options are Jalen Wells, Zach Edey, Santi, Brandon, Jake, Luke. That's fine, but your big 3 should be matching minutes here.
Okay.
Like, those guys should all be 35 minutes plus, for sure.
So real quick, to what Keith's saying right here, I think that's one of his biggest issues is he's trying to sneak a couple minutes. And I know I've talked about it in the past. I wouldn't say that he's trying to get cute. I don't think it's that. I think he's trying to buy a minute here, a minute there of rest. And a lot of times it's just not the direction you should go. And honestly, just lean on your guys, because what's an extra minute in the flow of a game? In all honesty, it's depending on the flow of the actual game. It's depending on how tough the actual game is on your body. But a lot of times people look at this on a stat sheet and say, hey, well, he played 40 minutes. That's tough. It depends on how those 40 minutes are. And so I do agree with you completely. And so I hate the stealing minutes and sneaking minutes here and there, but I know sometimes you try to do it at the end of a quarter or something like that, but not in the middle of a quarter if you need to.
But also it's the lack of adjustments on the defensive end, which seem to always take a possession too long when teams are going on runs.
Yeah.
But also you look at the end of the game and it's still the same thing. It's give the ball to Ja and go get a bucket. Which if you're looking at the last like play of a game, like you're looking to tie the game or you're looking to win the game, I get that. Right? Like that is your best player. That's who you want taking the shot. Set a high screen and go get it. And then if they force you out of it, then get a good shot for Dez or Jaren, right? That makes sense. When the last minute and a half, 2 minutes of back and forth possessions, you're just saying, hey, Ja, go get a bucket. You're not really running anything. And it's like if Ja happens to create something like he did for Brandon on one possession, then that's fantastic. You're not actually getting anything. Right. Meanwhile, Houston on the other end is literally getting a layup or a dunk 5 possessions in a row. I mean, it's just not – it just doesn't look like a professional basketball setup. Yeah. It just doesn't look like you are running a professional basketball system and the other team is. Like you're not getting to anything.
Yeah. All right. So one, let me go through a couple of these comments that I have real quick. Man, where is it? All right. 60 Zeller says Houston is just a better team. All right. I disagree on the basis of it. And I believe Titan MVP said it here. They're not the better team, but why take Bane out when he's cooking? I agree with that. They're two sides of it, but they're not the better team, in my opinion. Now, are they a terrible matchup for the Grizzlies? Absolutely. Like they make you play their style, and Memphis wants to play a certain style, and literally there's no going from it. And at that point, you have to match a little bit or make them make changes. And we've never made Houston make a change this year for the most part. Not of their type, but and honestly, early in the game, the Grizzlies got what they wanted to. It was just when clutch time came, nobody could do anything. And so that's kind of where I held for it.
Well, I don't think Houston is a better team. I think Grizz got no dogs. They got no enforcers on the court right now.
Yeah.
Like Ja's here for the fight. I mean, we played 18 minutes tonight. Not his best night. I think Santi usually shows up for the fight.
Right.
Tez shows up, but then he does something completely out of pocket and screws the team.
Yeah.
At least out of a few points if he does it. But, like, who do you have? You don't have a Steven Adams. You don't have a Jay Crowder. Right? And say what you want about those guys' skill sets. You need that attitude on the team. You don't have it.
Yeah.
Same reason I'm so big on John Collins for this team. You need that attitude on this team. They got it in Daniel. They got it in
thought you're talking to me.
Thompson.
Yeah.
Say what?
I thought you were talking to me. I thought you said Daniel and you said Dylan, I guess.
Yeah, I meant to say Dylan. I think I did say Daniel. They got it in Dylan. They got it in Thompson, Adams, Fred VanVleet. I mean, Jalen Green's just a hype man, but still, like, you got guys who are showing up for it. Grizz ain't got that. Part of us are young. Like, Jalen Wells is, like, way too green to be doing that unless you just show up like Vince and you're an insane person. Which good news is Vince is an insane person and you get him back.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go, Greer. Glad you're here. I think Edey does have an attitude. I also think it takes him 5 hours to swing his arms around to try and block a shot at the rim, and so he gets blown by athletes. Edey has an attitude, but like he ain't got the play to match it yet, and he gets played off the court. So you could say Edey has an attitude, but I mean, I haven't really seen it play out much yet other than fighting Draymond. So there's one way. But you need those guys. You need that, and you don't have enough of it. Yeah. You don't. They do. Yeah, out physical you, and then they just outthink you at the end of the game.
Yeah. Question. All right, so let me play devil's advocate because people already think I'm a Jenkins homer, whatever. I don't
you
care.
Are.
But my thing is, I think coaching like tonight, you can affect games with the weird lineups, and I've always said that Jenkins is very much he lacks in a feel for the game. Like a lot of what he does is very smart. The guys seem to like him. it is what it is. If the guys like him, I feel like you stick with him. If you ever lose the locker room, you have to then move on, right? But there has to be adjustments made. And I've always said that I think a lot of these decisions are being made by front office, kind of carried out by the coach. They go hand in hand together, whatever. I don't know what changes. In all honesty, if you do make a change at the head coach, I don't know. That's just me being honest. I don't know what changes might make. I know that a feel for the game could definitely change, because if you get a coach that has a feel in mid-game, I think it's important. But I think somebody said something up here. Okay, so Grizz Girl says the Grizzlies' strategy this year is to get through the season healthy, but the Rockets, their strategy in a sense is focused on winning. So to play devil's advocate real quick on the other side, I believe that the Grizzlies are okay with losing a game if need be, to not put extra stress, aka extra minutes, on a team, on their best players, because it's not that big of a deal. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, if you're playing whoever. Like, who's a very mediocre team this year? The Suns.
Okay.
Sure. You build habits. Winning is a habit.
Right. Correct.
You build that throughout the season. You build just like a muscular strength, right? Just like the reason I'm saying play your guys 40 minutes every once in a while is not because I want you playing those guys 40 minutes every night. Don't be Tibbs, which is hilarious. Those 3-man lineups, by the way, is hilarious. I saw it on Twitter again today. But don't be Tibbs. But when you get to the playoffs, you're playing these guys 35, 38, 40 minutes. How do you get to where you can do that?
Yeah.
By doing it. You don't just show up and all of a sudden your legs can go 38 minutes. So there's one habit you got to build. 2, winning is a habit, knowing how to win when you get to these situations against teams you need to be able to win against. You haven't proven you can beat this Rockets team yet.
Yeah.
You haven't. They've gotten it over on you every time. So sure, if you're playing the Suns or you're playing the whatever East Coast team, the Bucks, whatever it is, sure, do that. But against these teams, no. Like, you play to win the game. Against these teams, you play to win the game.
I think I've heard somebody say that once.
Yeah, me. I just said it twice. But you do need to go out and like figure out that you can win this, because when you get into the situation, if you haven't built the habit, then you're not going to have it ready. Yeah. It'll be luck. It won't be skill. It won't be something that you've honed. And so, yeah, you can do it against random teams, but sometimes you just need to go and figure out how to win the game. And they don't. They just roll along with whatever they're doing. And quite frankly, somebody will say, oh, well, LeBron Cavs teams or whatever. Like, you're not LeBron Cavs teams. You haven't won anything. Yeah. So, sure, be healthy, whatever. Do it at your own peril, because if you're healthy but you don't know how to win, it doesn't matter.
So would you say that, in your opinion, and I won't share mine, but in your opinion, if you can win if in these big games, which are considered, top teams in the West, right, or even top teams in the East, those are games that you need to take a little bit more serious, play your guys a little bit, and then try to steal minutes in other games, or maybe steal a game with a day off here and there against the, let's say, Spurs team or another team that's just not good. So in all honesty, that's your strategy as a coach that we're obviously not doing. We're trying to steal minutes in games and trying to still get a decent record and get to the playoffs healthy, like one side or the other. You're saying same idea, just try to steal, whatever you can minutes, minutes in other games that aren't as big as like a Houston game or, Denver game or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Because knowing you can beat these teams matters.
Yep.
I mean,
they've only beaten one.
You've played at a high level before. You know what happens if you run into that team and it's like every time we get here, something goes wrong, right? It's in your head before you ever even step on the floor.
Yeah.
Like, you need to know that that's not a thing. You can say, that's not in our head or whatever. Trust me. You're thinking about it. So, yeah, it matters to be able to play to the highest level of competition, which, to the credit of the players and the team tonight, they played really hard. They played really well. That's all I'd say. Sorry, not doing that. They played really well tonight. And they played really hard. And part of what that does too, as an organization, is it opens you up to, okay, what don't we have? Which, like I was saying earlier, you need somebody with that attitude. Like, honestly, as much as I never really wanted him on the team, at DFS brings.
I thought you were about to say Dylan. I'm like, God, Dylan sucks.
Well, who would you rather have now, Dylan or Marcus?
Marcus, because his trade value is higher.
Okay. I'd like the guy who plays basketball for 500, please. But
all right, let's get off of Jenkins. But the last thing I'll say is Jenkins, and I've never heard this term before in my life, so I wanted to bring it up. But it's from Wayno, who's across the pond. I don't even know what kind of accent that was. That was like British, and he's not British. He's Australian, mate. If Jenkins loses the locker room, it's a different story. But no need to dig up the garden because of a few weeds. Have you ever heard that term? Or
yeah, just now from Wayno.
Shout out to you, Wayno. I'm learning something every day for sure. But
last thing on the Jenkins
thing, God,
no one here is saying to fire him, because who else are you going to go get? What else are you going to do?
I think a few people in the chat might say that.
Well, I'm talking about you and me specifically. Like, no one's saying to fire him. It's like, what else are you going to do with that? Right? I'm not saying like there's not a better coach out there for the team right now, but it's fair to say, how many times is this going to happen?
Right.
Before you make the adjustment.
Right.
Like, that's, he said after the last game against this team less than a week ago, we have to learn. And the team played better. The team played harder. But at the end of the game, it's like you look up and you're like, hey, they did this. We did this. So.
Yeah. So a lot of people are obviously out on Jenkins, and a lot of people have been out on Jenkins for a long time. I don't think this is a new thing. And I had my betting show we did prior to this football game, and I've been involved in the football game as well as watching the Grizzlies, and so going back and forth. And so I actually wasn't able to listen, and to the end of the game, I was just watching it on mute. And so I'll probably go back later and kind of watch more in depth than I did. So I honestly don't have the same feeling, and honestly, a lot of it comes from a lot of what we hear with Pete and Brevin, which are phenomenal. I always give them their flowers. Pete and Brevin are the absolute best. And so love them. And so I want to give them a little bit of a shout out, because I did miss enjoying hearing them tonight. But all in all, a loss 120 to 118. But this is Grizz 901. That's Nate. I'm Daniel. You can follow us on Twitter if you enjoy that. I am at Daniel Greer. He's at Grizz Homer. You can follow us on Grizz 901 Live. But let's continue on the game, but let's kind of break it down a little bit. And I get that everybody's kind of pissed off and wanting to go get Mike Tomlin now as our basketball coach, which could actually help us. Or it could be Mike Brown, whatever. But the Grizzlies, Jaren, 17, 2 and 3. The rebounds, my God, 17, 2 and 3. Jalen Wells, 14 points, no rebounds, no assists, which is a weird stat line just in general. Zach Edey, 2 and 7, fouled out. John Morant, 29, 3 and 4. Desmond Bain, 25, 3 and 12. I think he had 15 points in the third quarter himself. And then after that, we had 5 guys off the bench. Pippen didn't do anything. Kennard really didn't do anything. Aldama was a mid game. Like, it was just, there's nothing there. I think Clark played well when he was in there, and then as well as Jake LaRavia. I think that's the best I've seen Jake LaRavia look, which Jake does well one-on-one. Like, he's the type of a guy that if you want to go one-on-one, Jake has, he's got some moves for a little white boy. Like, I think he's got some moves, and so I think I think he played decent tonight. But all in all, anybody that you want to hit on as we keep moving this thing along?
Let's talk about Edey.
Hey, is it a bad matchup for him? And in my opinion, I think is completely a bad matchup just because Sengun's too fast. Steve-O's a little bit big, and at that point, if he's not matching up with Steve-O, I think he struggles.
I'm looking at some standings real quick because I don't want to speak in hyperbole, but let's go top 4. Yeah, outside of Orlando, if you look at the top 4 teams in each conference, there's every good team is a bad matchup for Edey.
Really?
If you go against the Cavs, what do you think he's going to do against Jared Allen and Evan Mobley?
I think you'd be all right against Jared Allen.
Nah, no, I disagree
Really?
entirely. Edey's long, athletic, and quicker than him.
Jared Allen's long, athletic, and quick.
Yeah, quicker than Edey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go against Boston and Porzingis. Do I need to actually say anything here?
Yeah, that's
New York.
Well, it's not in Porzingis. Like what you do is, and I've said this from day one. Edey is not a starter. Edey is a situational big, very similar to Brandon Clark. They should use them in theory. When you go small, you go with Clark. When you go big, you go with Edey. That's literally how they should use it. I don't know that I feel like that's what they do. They interchange them a little bit, but either way, keep going.
Well, still, like, who are you playing against Boston? Like you say, playing against Horford. Okay, then what happens when Horford starts spreading you out?
Well, also, hold on, Xavier Tillman's there.
Okay, back to
champion.
Horford. Happy birthday, X. Happy birthday, X.
Is it his birthday?
Pretty sure it is his birthday. But then they spread you out, then they put you in every pick and roll. Which
you're going to go small.
Exactly, you're going to go small. So that doesn't work. Cat against New York. Doesn't work. Oklahoma City. You could say he might be able to bang with Hartenstein. I don't think so. But you could say
eats his lunch.
You could argue about it at least.
Hold on. 1 second. The Grizzlies should have paid Hartenstein $40 million this offseason because, my God, he would be the perfect fit, and we wouldn't have to have drafted Zach Edey. Like this, that would have been the perfect fit on this team. Was Isaiah Hartenstein? And I know we love him, and I know we've talked about him many a times, and I know Oklahoma City Thunder got him, but my God, he would have been the perfect fit next to Jaren.
Yep.
But anyway,
as would other guys would be good fits, but beside the point. Şengün and Adams. No, I saw our guy Greer put like 13 and 9 against Şengün. I think they got beat by 30 in that game. Right? Wasn't that when everybody was hurt at the beginning of the season?
I don't remember.
Anyways,
I've slept since then.
Doesn't matter. Then the last team is Jokic.
Oh. Like Jokic is like he's sneaky. Jokic is so sneaky that he will foul out Edey just because he's so sneaky. I know. I think we played against him one game, but I don't know if Edey played in that game. I believe I know Jokic missed that first game when we played. Then we played him on a back-to-back, and I believe Jokic missed the first game, and I believe that's when Edey got hurt. The next game we played against Jokic, and then Edey was out.
Greer, I know you're thumping for your guy. They got beat by 20. Just to be super clear, they got beat by 20.
Who got beat by 20?
The Grizzlies when Edey got 13-9 against Şengün.
Okay, gotcha. Good.
But beside the fact, it's not saying he can't be good in the NBA. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're trying to win this year, can't do it.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't have another center. Maybe you go with the BC Jaren thing. Maybe that's what you decide to do. Edey will not be able to play for you in the playoffs unless something drastically changes, which he has improved at a really rapid rate this year.
Right.
Which I think everybody can see and give him credit for. You know, it's same thing, not trying to be out on Zach Edey, but it would have to be a almost unfathomable jump for him to be able to really play center for you against these best teams.
Yeah. No
right.
doubt.
And I think you want that true center next to Ja. So after that, you don't have any true bigs, like true thumper bigs. You've got Brandon, Jaren. Jaren's the closest you've got, which plays better as sort of a hybrid 4 than anything. And then you got Santi, who is definitely not a 5, and Jay Huff, who, I mean, God love him. He's not holding up in the paint. You know, it just isn't there. So, again, not trying to be out on Edey at all. Yeah. He can develop. He has developed a ton even since he's been in here. But, brother, you can't rely on him this year.
No. Edey's a rookie, and I'm always going to say that. I'm not saying that he's not going to be good. What I say about Zach Edey is he's being put into a position that he should not be put in. Like, Edey is, if you bring Edey off the bench, he can be a better Steve-O for you on this team, because Steve-O off the bench for Houston is just a guy that's a bruiser. He's gonna let the smaller guys stay on the perimeter while he just gobbles up offensive rebounds, which he's much better at than Zach Edey. Zach Edey is not a good rebounder in general. Like, he's big, and that's why he gets rebounds, but he will gobble up some rebounds. But for the most part, he's not on the Steven Adams level. But for the same thing, yeah, you should play 16-ish minutes a game going against their big or situational matchup. They have a big starting big, then you go up against them. But overall, I agree. That's why I think that they should have went and got a starter that can slide in right next, which I said Hartenstein forever ago, but that's not going to happen. Austin says Valanciunas for $10 million. I just don't think he fits this team. I love Valanciunas. I love JV. I love Adams. I just don't know if they fit anymore. I really don't. The team's too fast, and Zach Edey doesn't even fit this team.
Adams still fit.
But yeah, some questions on here I want to get back to real quick. Claxton, I saw somebody talked about Keith again talked about Claxton. I don't think Claxton's a true big, in my opinion. I think he's a big. I just think he's a stretch 5, if that's even a thing anymore.
But he doesn't shoot.
No,
right.
It's just rim running big. That's literally, he's pretty skinny.
Yeah, you kind of like love the idea of him more than what he actually is. What you love about him is thinking that he's Jared Allen.
Yeah,
but he's not.
No doubt. Yep. Anything else you got in this game? I know we've been talking about it for a while, and we can keep hitting on it. I'd rather spend more time on this than I would look ahead or the Grizz Trivia, which I made the Grizz Trivia a long time ago, people. I do not want to have any stones thrown at me for this, but it might piss you off.
Yeah. Anyways, no idea what he's talking about, by the way. It's all him. So whenever someone gets mad, be mad at him. I mean, I sort of want to keep talking about the Edey thing because I think it's a mess. I think the fan base is really torn on it. Last side note I know is like Jaren only gets 12 shots this game. They did double him quite a bit, but it felt like they got away from him and they shouldn't have at certain points. But they did a good job of collapsing on him and sort of making sure he didn't beat them, I thought, but didn't feel like they tried to get to him very much either.
Yeah.
So, but I want to bring up this. That was actually a good question. AC, I'm going to mark that for a minute from now. No, what happened? The chat glitched on me. Oh, I know why it glitched on me, actually. Okay. This. Edey does need to play to develop.
I agree.
I think he can play 15, 16 minutes and develop, like you were saying earlier. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking about playing some regular season basketball and playing in these games against whoever, right? Whoever you end up playing, the Wizards or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Talking about like, do you want to win in the playoffs or do you want to keep developing for another 15 years? It's not developing time. It's winning time. So if you want to play Edey to develop in a regular season, great. No problem with that. If you want to go win playoff basketball, you're not playing to develop at that point. That's what we're talking about. If you want to play him to develop, sure. Like, of course. And he's shown a lot of improvement so far,
Hey, real quick, I'm going to pull this up. Eat Crab, which one? I've never seen your name in here, so welcome if this is your first time. I do love the name. If you have a great name, I've said this a million times, I'm going to talk about it because I love good, funny names. This is true. It's a little misleading, but it's true. There's no perfect big. You got to kind of figure out, how to cook with what you have. Talking about cooking, talking about eating crab. I was a big fan of that, but you do have to cook with what you have, right? With the ingredients that you already have on this team. That doesn't mean we're after the trade deadline. We're before the trade deadline. Now there is no perfect big that you can go get. Honestly, there's nobody out there that would be available that you could realistically go get, in my opinion. And that is not Claxton. The only perfect big I saw that would really fit this team and does everything you want to do, it is Hartenstein, and I've said his name way too many times tonight, just in general. But Like he was the only one that I thought actually matched up with the team's running style, but also the floater in the middle, plus good rebounder. You know, he's Sabonis-esque, right? He would be a great, fit for this team as well. But I just think that this team has to make a change at their size. I don't think this team is made up very well. There's so many holes on this team. And I know Greer Gentry is going to keep going for Edey. And I love that, dude. Go for your guy. The problem is he can't run with this team as quickly as you need somebody. You need somebody that can rebound and run a little bit, but also somebody who can actually move a little bit on the outside. Because if not, you're talking about in the playoffs, switch, give me Edey, go around or pull up and shoot. Like that's what they're going to do in the playoffs. So this isn't playoff basketball. This is regular season basketball. That's why I don't freak out about regular season games. I know some people do. I get that they haven't played well against the better teams, but I also know that this is regular season basketball as of right now. But I'm on record to say I don't think this team is a good playoff team. They're not championship contenders this year. I think if they get when they get to the playoffs, I think they win a series at max. Is the only thing I would say as currently constructed. I know that's been a thing the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I just don't see it right now.
Yeah, and with Edey as well, it's one of those things where you can't use him to punish the other team for being small yet. He's not comfortable enough getting to what he needs to get to, right? Like if he gets in the post, he's clearly working through the motions to get to something. And quite frankly, it's not college, right? You got other guys who are bigger, stronger, faster, who will go get the rebound instead of you being able to reach over everyone to get your own rebound. And if you get that shot in the paint, you got to be able to make that shot in the paint consistently.
Yeah.
And he hadn't shown that he can do it consistently in the NBA.
Right.
So you can be slower and not run, but you got to be able to punish the other team. Yeah. And he's not able to do that yet. And I know we got a lot of Edey thumpers in here, which is hilarious that this is the show they came to. Glad you're here, but it is funny. But
I love it.
We're not out on him, right? It's not that he can't become that, but he's clearly not that yet. And we're talking about winning this year. So for everyone who loved Edey in college and watched him in college, that's great. This isn't college, and he hasn't shown he can do it here yet.
Well, it's the fit, as AC Surreal saying, it's the fit. Like you want to kind of change. Like so, they went and got this new guy, whatever his last name is. They went and got him to run a new offense, right? A more up and down offense. And then in the draft, you go get potentially one of the, a bigger guy, which you needed to fill that position, but you did that instead of going and getting somebody through a trade or making somebody a free agent move. That's my only issue. Isilo. It's not Edey's fault that he's being pushed into this position. It's not.
Yeah,
he's playing fine. He is a decent NBA player. He is very average. I'm asking 8 and 8 a night. Okay. That's fine. The problem is he doesn't fit this team. That's my biggest issue has always been because he doesn't fit the kind of the mojo of this team. So I'm not blaming Edey. As David was saying, how are we blaming Edey for terrible coaching decisions? I am not blaming. I know you're not blaming Edey either. The issue is the way this team is constructed. It doesn't gel. There's still something missing, and I think everybody else sees it as well. Like in my opinion, what is their record now? Is it was it 24-14 at one point?
25 and 15.
25 and 15. My God, I feel like that's the fakest 25 and 15 out of everybody's record in the NBA. And I love the Grizzlies. But I just think it's so flawed. I think it's so fake. And so at that point, like I can poke holes in it. And so we just had to, we keep it as real as possible and explain whatever. But yeah, overall, I don't want to hate on Edey. I think he's fine for what he is. He's being put into a wrong spot.
No, yeah, it's not Edey's fault that they lost tonight or anything like that.
No.
But he's also not contributing to winning. That's the difference is with a guy like Ja Morant and the way that he plays downhill and the way he thrives off of screens, and the team has always thrived off of somebody bruising the paint to get rebounds. The best winning formula is having someone in there to do that and contribute.
Yeah.
Zach Edey's not sitting there. He's not the reason they lost, but he's also not contributing to winning right now. It feels like against the really good teams. When you play some of these other teams, he's going to show up in some of these games against other teams, right, and be fine. But we're not worried about these middle of the pack teams. What are you going to do to compete at the highest level?
Yeah,
just not ready.
Yeah, a lot of people were asking about Klingon, but also Khalil Ware. I really like Khalil Ware. I think that he can be a guy that can that fit more this offense. The issue is I didn't see him being a 9th pick. I guess if you get your guy at 9, you get your guy at 9. I thought you could have moved back and got him. That's what I would have done. But I would have probably went and got Klingon as maybe Klingon as well. But the problem is you're still in the same boat if you run that offense. It's just you needed more of a mobile big, like a guy like Derek Lively we talked about earlier. I think he has the size and he's got a little bit of muscle, a little bit of bigger build on him than, in my opinion, than Claxton. And I think he plays a tougher defense, and so that's the only reason I would like him, other than somebody else. But
Daron Holmes, everyone's forgot about him because of the injury, but Daron Holmes, love him. We'll see if he was able to recover or not.
Yeah. This is a bit. Let's end on this one before we get to Grizz Trivia, and then we'll speed through the last part. But Art, very good. January will make or break us. I think it'll be a thing we'll see with the Grizzlies is I think we're going to see some movement within potentially some trade, right? Because we're going to see whether or not they actually swing, because the window is open now. If they want to go for something, they got to go for it right now. But we'll see if they actually can do it. We'll see if they consolidate and maybe, hurt our future a little bit for getting a couple guys that we really need. A Cam Johnson would be good, but I don't know if it fixes everything. I don't think there's anybody that fixes everything. But I think adding a few extra good players around the edges will always be beneficial. Which we're getting GG back. We're getting at some point we're getting Vince back, which is another crazy to add with Edey's Jalen Wells' defense that he's playing right now. But anything else you got in the game before we move on to Grizz Trivia?
No. No.
Beating a dead horse.
Not for tonight. I was going to ask a question, but I don't feel like doing it right now. We'll save it for later or another night.
All right, let's get to everybody's favorite, Grizz Trivia.
Not mine.
All right, this is probably a welcome refresher, a palate cleanser, as you will say right now. But we have the Grizz Trivia, and this is Grizz 901. We're the Memphis Grizzlies post-game show, #1 in all the land. But thank you all for hanging out with us. Hit the like button if you don't mind while you're here. Great number tonight, huge number, live number as always. But we're here Monday through Friday, all the weekday games. And we're going to try to see what we can do to give you maybe a quicker show on the weekends, depending on who's available, if we're available. But that might not happen right away, but maybe as we get closer to the end of the season. But we don't have any weekends coming up, I don't believe. But before we get to Grizz Trivia, the LA Rams take down the Minnesota Vikings 27-9. And so punch them in the mouth for sure. But all right, let's get to the Grizz Trivia question. And it is, with a minimum of 25 games played, this is very important, who are the top 5 rookies in points per game? And you can play along at home as well.
Jalen Wells.
Jalen Wells is one of them. He is number 2 with he's tied for first with 11.7. It was before this game, so I don't know as of right now.
Sar
is tied for first with Jalen Wells with 11.7. Somebody said Pau Gasol.
Edey might be in there. Is Edey in there?
Edey, 10.2. He is 5th on this. And this is active players. Austin says, nobody cares. They
Austin doesn't care. He's going to be mad as soon as Edey's name got thrown in there. I've been seeing him in the chat tonight.
Somebody said Jared McCain. Jared McCain would be the reason I made this 25 is because he's done for the season. Jared McCain is, and he was the leading scorer, but he only has 23 games.
And by the way, that's just
nailed
that like we think Edey has done well this season. Just can't be the highest level because I know we pissed a bunch of people off, and quite frankly, whatever. But just to be clear, we think he's been good. He just can't contribute when it matters most.
Yep.
Anyways, so that's 3. Hawks, dude.
Ricochet.
Yes, thank you.
Nathan Payson. Got it.
That's not my name. Great first name.
Yeah. I butchered the last one. I need some music. Sorry, guys.
This could be true because the team is just like abject cheeks, but I hope it's not. Yves Missy is nope. Okay. Because he was like at the top of that rookie ladder. I was like, there's no reason he should be at the top of that rookie ladder. It's gross. Yeah. I'm not looking at names. I'm just looking through team lists. Trying to remember.
You're missing one.
Playing. Cleveland, Boston, New York, Orlando, Indy, Milwaukee, Miami, Detroit.
King Meek says, man, we doing Grizz Trivia or NBA Twitter or NBA Trivia?
2 Grizzlies in there, it counts. Give Daniel a break.
Yeah, listen, they can't all be in there somehow. Austin's still angry. Top 5 worst rookies ever.
Castle?
Stephon Castle, we play them on Wednesday night. I thought that'd be easy to get it, but look at you. Finally. So to kind of give everybody an idea on this, it would be Alexander Sarr, 11.7 points per game. Jalen Wells, 11.7. Zachary Ricochet, 10.7. And then Stephon Castle, we play Wednesday night, 10.7. And then Zach Edey at a 10.2. So hope everybody enjoyed it. That was a little bit tougher, but the chat nailed it right away. So I don't know about you. They're definitely a lot smarter than you are.
That doesn't take much, and I'm smarter than you. So what does that say about you? But listen, Austin's not far off. It's not a great rookie class. It's not inspiring. Only because Daron Holmes got hurt. Daron Holmes was here. You guys would be watching poetry in motion.
Yeah. All right. So that's the Grizz Trivia tonight, and so we're gonna make sure we keep doing this. We might add some different stuff in. We might have a where he play soon because I think we need to change it up a little bit. But everybody is here and always hanging out with us, and we do appreciate it. But we do a little bit of a thing called the look ahead as we look ahead to the next game, and that will be the San Antonio Spurs. So let's go ahead with the help of Ryan, as he always does. Let's look ahead to the next game on Wednesday.
Let's look ahead to Wednesday night's matchup at the San Antonio Spurs. Look, the San Antonio Spurs records reflects who the team is. They're 18-19. They're a deeply average 500 team. Interesting little history note. Before the Spurs won against the Grizzlies last April 9th, when we had our miserable injury-plagued season, the Grizzlies had dominated this series. They had won 13 straight games against the Spurs until last April, and that probably loss only happened because of all the injuries and sitting guys. So the Grizzlies historically have dominated this series in the past couple years, which I thought was an interesting tidbit. Look, the Spurs this year, yes, they have Victor Wembanyama, who is an outlier athlete, just a person to look at in general, but the Spurs are far from that. They are definitely a very average NBA team. Top 6 in the NBA in three-point attempts, but bottom 5 in three-point percentage. So they're going to shoot them, but they don't make a lot. But we know from history with the Grizzlies, teams, if they start hitting a few of those, it can be an avalanche against us. These teams are pretty similar in kind of the key statistics, similar in overall rebounding rates, assists, turnovers are pretty similar. Dive a little deeper on the rebounding, and the Spurs are bottom 6 in opponent second chance points, which we know the Grizzlies like to do. You would think with Victor Wembanyama that the Spurs would be an incredible paint defensive team, but they are not. They are an average middle-of-the-road team at defending the paint. So even though, yes, Victor Wembanyama is a 7'6" monster, the Spurs have not done a great job at protecting the paint, which is what the Grizzlies want. So I expect this to be an interesting game. Has the potential to be a blowout for our Grizzlies, but should be a fun matchup between two teams that play somewhat similar styles.
Did that man just say a potential blowout? Like, this is the ultimate curse of curses, is Ryan calling this a potential blowout. I'm probably going to have to eat my hat, but my God, like, I don't want to have to hear
Ryan
those
likes
words.
to say that. He said that a couple of times. He said about Minnesota too. I think he likes to say it's a potential blowout because it is a potential blowout. It could happen. It is within the spectrum of possibilities.
Right, no doubt. But the Grizzlies do take on the Spurs on Wednesday, which it should be a good game just overall. I'm interested to see what Edey and Wemby looks like together. Now, I know that Wemby is a more athletic player than Edey ever will be in his life, but I'm just curious what it looks like overall. Just them two standing next to each other. I wish they'd throw Yuki in there just to stand next to him, just for just for some fun. And I almost made the thumbnail. I don't know if y'all all appreciate the thumbnail. I put a lot of time into them usually, but I wanted to make it, and I haven't decided yet how I want to do it. But I want to do Wemby and Chris Paul next to each other, and then Yuki and Edey next to each other on the thumbnail, because it just looks crazy madness. But I might actually put Ja there just for fun. But either way, we'll figure it out. But thoughts on them? Yeah, have you kept up with the Spurs at all this season?
Yeah, I've actually watched them quite a bit because I was making money off Champagne quite a bit when I was in Tennessee. Who I really, maybe because I was making a bunch of money off him, but I like him more than his twin brother, who I learned played in Washington. I knew he was in the league, but didn't know where he played because he plays in Washington. But I actually like Champagne a lot. They're a super interesting team because it just feels like, kind of honestly, like Ryan was saying, they could be making everything. And all of a sudden they're a super tough team to beat. Or they could just be missing everything. Yeah. Right? It's like, okay, is Wemby going to be making these 30-footers? Is Vassell going to make his jumpers? What's Chris Paul going to do? And it's just an interesting team to watch because it's somewhere in between the development and trying to really compete stage every night. Yeah. Which is why you have like a Chris Paul, which is very interesting to watch at this point in his career. So, I mean, I do think it could be a blowout for Memphis or highly competitive. I really doubt it would be a blowout for San Antonio. But if you get their best punch, they can absolutely beat you. Very interesting team to watch. And Astronomo, he took one tweet off to crash, or comment off to crashing out. Puts this in here. Good to see you in here, man. Safe place. But Keldon Johnson is one of those who I'm so confused about.
Right.
Keldon Johnson, because he looked like the future of this team. A guy to build around. And you watch him play now, and not only do they not feature him, it doesn't look like they should either when he gets his opportunities.
Oh, he comes off the bench now, yeah.
Oh, but even when he's in there, right, it's not like he's not getting an opportunity to play or something, like he's buried on the bench. Right. You watch him play, and you're like, hey, this doesn't make sense. Like, why? A few years ago, I would have killed to have this guy on the team, but I watch him now. I'm like, what happened here? Yeah. I don't know if it's a reduced role, just to sort of reduced him mentally as a player too, but very interesting to watch.
No doubt. Well, they do have Champagne on the bench. Keldon Johnson, is it Charles? Yeah, Charles Bassey and Trey Jones, Little Tyus. So they're playing right now against the Lakers. It's on NBA TV if you're interested. But they do have Harrison Barnes on this team. I don't know if anybody remembers that or knows that, but Harrison Barnes is there with Wemby, Chris Paul, Stephon Castle, and Devin Vassell, which I really love. Devin Vassell. I've always really liked him as a player, and he's been playing really well. He's a good shooter on a decent team, but he's 6'5", so I've always liked him. I don't think there's any way you can get a guy like that. I think the only one they'd come up off of is Keldon Johnson, but I don't think this team should hang with the Grizzlies. In all honesty, I think this is a game where if you kind of run, like, they're going to want to try to slow it down a little bit, even though they do shoot a lot of threes. this team is a Chris Paul led team. So they're going to have some, methodical kind of play to them. And so it will slow down a little bit and look like, very monotonous. But I think overall the Grizzlies can kind of speed them up a little bit. I think it could be a good game just overall. So I'm curious what it looks like. I'm curious what it ends up being because, in my opinion, they don't have anybody big they're bringing off the bench. Charles Bassey is their other center. He's 6'10". I think what you might, I don't know what you do because Barnes isn't big. You can't. I don't know if you play Jaren on Wemby to start, or you play E on Wemby to start.
I don't know. I got no. Put Jalen Wells on him. I don't know. I got no clue what you do.
But let's move off of that. Let's move back to the game and let's kind of tie up some loose ends real quick. But I want to read some stuff off of DeMichael Cole tonight. Santi Aldama was quoted, "I think overly physical teams have been a problem for us." Taylor Jenkins said the Grizzlies threw everything at Jalen Green. Sometimes you got to tip your hat on the performance. Do you agree with that?
No comment.
When a guy's hot, man, they're an NBA player.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like, yeah, he got hotter and hot tonight. Of course, like you tip your cap to him, but that's not the reason they lost it. I mean, he is a reason they won the game. I wouldn't say it's a reason the Grizzlies lost the game necessarily, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, everybody's still arguing about the minutes, and everybody's arguing that they're running 11 guys every night. They only played 10 tonight, so I don't know why people are arguing about playing 11 guys. But overall,
yeah.
that just didn't happen
tonight.
Huh?
He cut down the rotation tonight.
And that's the thing is, like, I get it, but realistically, there's not that many minutes. The problem is the two that play, the 21 and the 13 minutes on their end. And then if you look at our bench, we had 5 guys and everybody played in double figures. I think what you have to do is you have to cut down on at least 2, if not 3 of those guys and stick with a 7. You still 10-man rotation, but stick with 7 consistent guys. So.
Well, and quit playing your bench dudes against their best dudes too. And that happened in the first quarter. I look up in the first quarter that we're well into the second before they really started getting, like, I think it's not Tari Eason. Was it Tate and Wiggins? Or not Wiggins, Aaron Holiday is who they bring in.
Yep, Aaron Holiday.
Yeah. And he's looking, it's like, okay, we've already played our full 10 guys. They just got to their 6th and 7th guy.
Yeah. As Tiffany says here, Udoka always outcoaches Jenkins. I like Udoka. He's a very good coach. I would love to have him here, in all honesty. There's no way you would get him. And Mark Jackson, too cozy? No on Mark Jackson. That every locker room hates that man. He might seem like a decent guy. Everybody ends up hating him because from what I've heard, is he thinks he's the smartest guy in the locker room. He thinks that his S doesn't stink and he does it his way. And I'm not saying it's the wrong way. That just doesn't flow, especially nowadays with these young kids. It does not flow. So Mark Jackson would not be good for my opinion.
And for everybody who wants Taylor Jenkins to get fired yesterday, it usually doesn't end well to fire your coach midseason.
That's the issue. Yeah.
Like, as much as you may think Jenkins doesn't give him the best chance to win, usually switching coaches when you're 40 games in gives you a much worse chance of winning. And, like, I know people are mentioning Mike Brown, but I don't know if I want to go get a guy who just got run out of a locker room by their best player to replace a guy midseason who your best player still likes quite a bit.
Yeah.
Your best players still like quite a bit.
No doubt.
So we've acknowledged the concerns around everything. We're like,
100%. I think it has to be after the season.
Some of this stuff is super, super silly. But one, if you think Jenkins isn't going to be able to ride this out through the playoffs, you're crazy. Yeah. Something catastrophic would have to happen for that to change. 2, if he gets to a Western Conference Finals, then he's staying. I don't know. Yeah, I know what to tell you. If he gets to a Western Finals, he's staying. That's happening. I would be shocked. I would say this if he doesn't. But if he doesn't get past the second round, seat's getting a lot hotter than lukewarm.
In my opinion, all right, the level of the seat, how hot it would be is if you lose in the first round, I think they move on from him.
Yep.
Okay. I think if they lose after the second round, I think they don't advance in the second round, past the second round. I think there is a 50-50 at that point. It depends on exactly what happens, right? I think how it all plays out is a big part of that. After that, if you make it to the Western Conference Finals and on, he's safe. And he probably, honestly, sorry to say to him, a year or two. And a lot of people are talking about, Tiffany says Lionel was fired after. That's a completely different front office. Everything's different. It's not the same anymore. Like from my opinion, from what I hear, is they really like Taylor Jenkins. And like I said, they're working hand in hand together, because you got to think this front office is making a lot of these decisions for these guys that they're bringing in. And so we'll see. But yeah, he's definitely being let go if they don't make it past the first round.
Yeah, and Lionel yelled at a lot of people, so people don't like Lionel as much as they like Taylor Jenkins. No doubt. But for Austin, again, welcome. I know Austin's been here for a long time. Astronomo's newer, but welcome crash out from Austin too. This is always a safe place. I do not agree that Jenkins should have been fired 2 years ago. I think this is the right timeline. I think we're on the right timeline for him. He's sort of gotten chances. The health thing has been crazy for them. He's been growing as a coach as well. I think the growth is not keeping up with the expectations and where they need to be necessarily, but I think he's done more than enough to get this shot to do it. And I don't think he's doing the most with the opportunity he has. So, but
Keep me trying to bust my balls so bad. He's calling me Daniel Jenkins. Come on, let's be real. Taylor Jenkins is in your family, and y'all do Christmas cards, send to each other, and watch Pokemon. I have one. I don't know if I've ever seen Pokemon in my life, but also listen. I'll entertain this. What has he done? So the timeline for Taylor Jenkins as a coach this year should have been last year. The problem is Ja effed it up. And a lot of people don't want to call it out. Ja Morant effed it up when he was an idiot and had those gun issues. And then he gets suspended and has all this. This whole timeline, it got effed up because of Ja Morant. Like, I'm just being honest. Last year should be Taylor Jenkins, like this year, right? And so we should be making this decision on Taylor Jenkins, whether or not this team actually has it. The problem is your best player was suspended or coming back from suspension, and then he got hurt again. But the problem is it kind of threw it all out of whack the last 2 years. And so this is really the only year, and they've had injuries this whole year. And so I get it. Everybody's frustrated with it. In my opinion, he has grown as a coach. The problem is he still lacks at being reactionary. Like he plans out everything and he does not react accordingly. So that's my only opinion of him. I still think he's a good coach. I still think he's fine. I just don't know if he can take you to the next level. So we're going to figure that out. But eventually we'll find that out this year. So Astronomo says Ja sucks. Trade him. No, Ja does not. But sometimes he does not have that fire in his eye. But we won't go there this time.
Oh, God. Shameless plug. Feels like a stretch to say Ja broke the timeline. I think like the gods themselves broke the timeline by deciding
he was an idiot for 2 years.
Of course, like he certainly didn't help, and last year should have been the year where all of this was the conversations being had. But also, like everybody somehow broke something last year besides Jaren. Everybody, including Vince. Like Vince got hurt last year too. Like it was literally almost everybody got destroyed last year. So yes, Ja's issues certainly didn't help just Ja. Like, hey, Dez got hurt. Marcus Smart broke his finger shooting a three. It's like,
right.
You know,
nothing went right.
It was a brutal year. But I agree. This was a conversation that's supposed to be had last year.
So hope everybody got something out I hope everybody understands. Like,
Call New York.
we do not hate Edey. We think he's fine. Just miscast right now. I don't think we hate. Nobody hates Jenkins. Me and you don't hate Jenkins.
Oh no, people hate Jenkins.
No. Me and you do not hate Jenkins. There's a lot of people that do hate Jenkins, and that's fine. You can hate the man. I have no ties to him at all, unlike what King Meeks thinks. I just think that as long as and I've always said, as long as he has a locker room, which I still think he still does, he's got to learn from these stupid mistakes. Like, these are still stupid mistakes. The problem is we all have to learn from our mistakes. Hopefully he keeps learning from these stupid mistakes, and he can kind of get ahead of this before he does ruin us a big game in a big playoff series. I don't really worry about these games right now. I just want this team to be better against the better teams. And if it is playing your guys 38, 40 minutes, so be it. But we're not doing that right now. It doesn't feel like we're going all in on games we need to win or games that we can really kind of a measuring stick game. I don't think we're doing that yet. So we'll see. But all in all, I think this night was, I think it's a good night overall, especially for the show. The show did great numbers. You all been here this whole time, and I absolutely love it. And everybody either crashes out or makes fun of us, mainly me. And I enjoy doing this and getting to kind of hang out with you all, but also, kind of just talking through the issues this team has. But we're going to do it again Wednesday night, man. Are you, we don't know if you're going to be here. You might be here, but the plan is to have you here. So if not, we'll try to see if we can get somebody else on. It'll probably be either Ryan. If Ryan cannot be on, then I have somebody up my sleeve that has not been on here yet. So we'll see.
Oh, that's cute. I should be here though, so they can suck it.
All right. Well, that's all for the show. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. It was a fun night as always. We definitely better win Wednesday because this is a team that needs some wins. Start stacking some of these together. Stay above that edge. But that's all we have. We'll see you all next. Well, not next Wednesday. This coming Wednesday. Be nice and tell your friends.